Greetings, YouTube. I want to start off this video with the same kind of disclaimer that's really for all of the videos that I produce on my channel. Really, any YouTuber whatsoever. This is one subjective opinion by one person. Please feel free to disagree with me. When it comes to champions I love or hate, subjective, right? I actually get kind of excited when I hear so many people disagreeing with me because that means they're critically thinking for themselves. It makes me nervous. Like, if you're subscribed to someone because you hope that you will agree with 100% of what they say 100% of the time, that's not a YouTube channel, that's a cult. And I don't want to ever have that kind of mentality on my channel. Now, you can defend my right to have an opinion, but that doesn't mean you always have to defend my opinion. See, there's a difference. So I'm going to give you my opinion on this. If you completely disagree, great. Just don't automatically agree just because it's me saying it, because again, I'd much rather you disagree than just always want to agree with me, because it prevents you from thinking critically and questioning if I'm actually right or not. So with that being said, today is Tuesday. For the past 2 days, ever since the first ever featured 6-star arena locked on Sunday, which, by the way, I've had so many people message me with conflicting messages about the pronunciation of the latest featured arena champion and the current featured arena champion on round 2. I guess people who've been going all the way back to the comics in the 1970s said, no, there's no problem with the pronunciation of Shang-Chi. But the actor who plays him, I believe, said that he thinks it should be pronounced Shang-Chi. I don't know. As I said at the beginning of this video, I've been wrong a lot before and I'll be wrong again. I'm just going to say safely, for the sake of the rest of this video, the first featured 6-star champ arena, because that I think we can all agree on. I've been messaging, I think it's an alliance mate, a friend of this man who placed #1 in the first ever featured 6-star arena with a crazy score, right? 183,148,058 points. Now, to be clear, this is to get #1 in the arena. This is not to get the champion. You needed 100 spots, the top 100 spots, and I think it was like 130 million. So he went way overboard, 53 million points overboard from what he needed. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, because I asked him, like, were you trying to be first in this? And he said no. It's just when you're paranoid that you're not going to get him and there's been no history behind it, you want to put as many fights in as possible in that 3-day period just to be safe. And so maybe he started thinking that he would do about 3,000 units worth of 5- and 6-star refreshes. And then 3,000 units turned into 6,000. And then 6,000 turned into 900. And that 9,000, I should say. 6,000 turned into 9,000. So at that point, you're $300 plus deep. And then 9,000 turned into 12,000. And by the time he was done, he said he had spent over 15,000. But for the sake of this video, we're just going to say 15,000 plus units on refreshes to achieve the first place, which not only got him the 6-star featured champion, but it got him first place again in the featured arena. So here's the point of this video. Let's say, hypothetically, just for the sake of argument, and obviously there are going to be people who watch this who don't have rank 2 and rank 3 6-stars. They're uncollected, but they're still forced to try these arenas, or at least see the arenas, because they don't have any other arenas. They've progressioned out of the others, which is, again, a huge mistake Kabam has made, and hopefully they will rectify it, especially for those uncollected. But even Cavalier, a lot of Cavalier players have told me that they don't have a big 6-star roster, and they just can't get the milestones in these new arenas. Regardless, let's just say you do have the roster to do this. Is it better to spend 15,000 units on featured Cavalier crystals, or to use refreshes to guarantee yourself, assuming you know, this is historically about where it's going to be, guarantee yourself the 6-star? It's a really interesting question, because we have somebody who chased Cavalier crystals and sent me the data, and it took him $2,500 worth of units to pull the featured 6-star. $2,500. 15,000 units is, for the sake of argument, about $500. So it took one guy, 5 times as many units to pull him from a crystal. And obviously, some of you out there are like, yeah, but it took me 300 units to pull him. It's a gamble. It's a Marvel Casino of Champions algorithm-dependent gamble if you're opening crystals. A lot different than putting up a a guaranteed score, which hopefully will have some baseline of outcome success in an arena. The interesting thing is that, let's just say for the sake of argument, it's the same amount of money. This guy's putting in so many hours of his time, which is valued, especially if you are an adult with like a normal job. If you're a high schooler or a college person, then I guess, well, I don't know if you'd be able to afford the units regardless, but your time is not as valuable as somebody who's making a salary, benefits, that kind of thing. But is it better to spend money on crystals where you're also going to get 5 stars, maybe other 6 stars, Nexus crystals, a lot of 3 and 4 stars clearly from the drop rates? Or is it a better value for your money to get the champion? So here's my opinion on this. If you care about the 6-star featured and nothing else, the arena is going to be the best value for your money with refreshes, because you're not depending on an algorithm. You're just depending on the high scores of other people you're playing against. And so it's a lot more predictable, and there's a lot more, historically speaking, guaranteed outcome, where there's no guaranteed outcome in the Marvel Casino Champions when you open crystals. We saw Crystal Opening Whale back in the day open $5,000 plus worth of crystals and not get the featured 5-star. Remember that? So, with that being said, if you think you want the featured 6-star champion, but you want a better value for the money, the takeaway from this video is to not buy his actual crystals, but buy the crystals that make him the sub-featured champion. Because, historically speaking, even though the sub-featured champion drop rates are not posted, it is a higher odds to get the sub-featured champion when they're the sub-featured champion in the next round. In this case, the current featured champion will be the sub-featured champion in the Mr. Negative Crystals next Thursday. Save your 15,000 units for Mr. Negative Crystals to try to get the current, right now, featured 5 and 6-star champion versus going after his crystals now. So I know you have to wait like 2 weeks, and that might take some of the excitement out of it. But here's my other advice on waiting 2 weeks. We are in the midst of a huge controversy because there were some summoners, I'm not going to say several, but some summoners that went straight to Kabam on the forums and complained, you got to fix this guy, you got to nerf this guy, he's got an infinite combo ability in some cases, and that's not fair. This is why we can't have nice things, right? And so Kabam has responded to those summoners and said, thank you for the feedback, we'll look into it. Which usually means we're going to figure out a way to cease this from happening. Think about Gwenpool back in the day, right? So if you wait 2 weeks to go after the champion you really want, 2 things will happen. The drop rates will go up, and you'll have a better shot at actually pulling him, mathematically speaking, from drop rates in a crystal. But also you'll give Kabam a couple weeks to actually figure out, in some cases, if the champion's actually working as intended, which a lot of times they're not, and we know that Kabam in that situation is not going to give you your refund back if you spend $2,500, like some summoners have done, for the latest featured 6-star champion. So, in summary, if you want to guarantee yourself a score for the new featured, spend your units on refreshes, assuming you've got the roster. Go for them in the arena. Hopefully it won't take you 183 million points. Again, this wasn't to get the champion. This was to place first. But if you want to open crystals, go for him or her as the sub-featured champion 2 weeks later. That also buys you time, if the champion's really hyped up, to see whether or not Kabam actually sticks with how the champion is performing in week 1 and 2. Because how many times have we seen them come back and say, oh, it's a bug. We've got to nerf that champion, and we're not going to give you refunds. And I want you to have to be a part of that next horror story. So I know it's not as exciting to wait 2 weeks, but it just makes sense, especially if you have a X amount of dollars to budget for either the arena or crystals. Hope that advice helps. Let's make sure this video does not get to 10 minutes. We'll end it here. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.